Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect our inner peace, energy, and sense of self, yet they are often the most overlooked aspect of healthy relationships. When we think about boundaries, we might feel as though we're being restrictive or creating distance, but in reality, they are the foundation of respect, both for ourselves and others. Without boundaries, we risk overextending ourselves, feeling used, or sacrificing our own needs for the sake of others' comfort. In the absence of clear boundaries, we end up giving and giving, often to the point of depletion, and ultimately we may feel resentful or unappreciated. Establishing boundaries begins with an honest assessment of what we need to feel balanced, safe, and respected. It requires tuning into our own values and priorities, acknowledging our emotional and physical limits, and recognizing when we need to say no. Boundaries are a way of saying, this is what I need to function fully and show up as my best self, far from being selfish. They enable us to maintain our own well-being so that we can engage meaningfully with others. When we set boundaries, we communicate to others what we will and won't tolerate. And we build trust by being consistent and clear about where we stand. People learn how to treat us based on the boundaries we uphold, so setting these lines helps create a standard of mutual respect. We stop allowing others to encroach upon our personal space, time, and energy without consequence, and instead we build relationships where everyone's needs and limitations are acknowledged and valued. Boundaries are also essential for emotional health. When we are too soft or fail to establish limits, we might end up feeling anxious, drained, or overwhelmed because we're carrying responsibilities or stresses that aren't ours to bear. Healthy boundaries protect us from emotional overload and give us the freedom to make choices aligned with our inner values. They allow us to engage with others from a place of strength rather than sacrifice, reducing resentment, and making us more resilient. By defining what is acceptable and unacceptable in our interactions, we are able to nurture deeper, more fulfilling connections that stand on a foundation of respect and authenticity. Creating boundaries isn't always easy. It can be uncomfortable, especially if we're used to accommodating others or avoiding conflict. But in honoring these boundaries, we show up in our relationships with integrity, clarity, and self-respect. This courage to set boundaries ultimately leads to a richer, more balanced life, where we're empowered to be ourselves fully while respecting the presence and needs of those around us. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools we have in preserving our peace, energy, and well-being, yet it is often one of the hardest words for us to say. Many of us have been conditioned to associate no with rejection or conflict, leading us to feel guilty or uneasy when we turn others down. However, no is not a word of dismissal, but a word of self-respect. It's a way of honoring our time, energy, and priorities, making it a vital skill for anyone looking to maintain balance and authenticity in their lives. When we say no, we're affirming what is essential to us, setting a boundary that reflects our own needs and values. Each time we say yes to something out of obligation or guilt, we're effectively saying no to something else, often something that may be more important to us. No is a tool that prevents us from overextending ourselves, taking on too much, or saying yes just to appease others. It allows us to commit to things that truly matter and to give our full attention to the tasks and relationships that align with our goals and values. Learning to say no is a path towards self-empowerment. It shifts us from a reactive stance where we may feel pressured to meet others' expectations to a proactive one, where we decide based on our own inner compass. No becomes a declaration of autonomy, a statement that we are in control of our own choices. Instead of feeling obligated to fulfill every request, we create a life that reflects our true priorities. This is not about being dismissive or uncaring, it's about honoring our capacity and protecting our resources. Just as we protect our finances or physical well-being, saying no helps us conserve our mental, emotional, and physical energy. A powerful no also fosters respect in our relationships. When we consistently say yes out of fear of letting others down, we may unintentionally create expectations that will always be available. People may come to expect that we'll prioritize their needs over our own, and in turn, we may feel undervalued or taken for granted. But when we say no, we signal to others that we have limits and that our time and energy are valuable. This doesn't diminish our relationships, it strengthens them by establishing clear and mutual respect. Those who genuinely value us will understand and appreciate the boundaries we set, and in fact, they may be more likely to respect our time and efforts because of it. Saying no also protects us from burnout. Life is full of demands, and without the ability to refuse, we can easily become overwhelmed, juggling responsibilities that drain our energy and enthusiasm. This constant yes cycle can lead to stress, exhaustion, and resentment, robbing us of the joy and vitality that comes from meaningful work and relationships. By saying no, we give ourselves permission to rest and to reserve our efforts for what truly fulfills us. It's an act of kindness to ourselves, allowing us the space to recharge and refocus. We can't pour from an empty cup, and no is the practice of ensuring that our cup remains full. For many, saying no feels uncomfortable, especially if they are used to people-pleasing or fear disappointing others. However, over time, learning to say no can build confidence and strengthen our sense of self-worth. Each no reinforces that we are in control of our lives and that our own needs are just as important as anyone else's. We stop seeing ourselves as someone whose role is merely to serve and satisfy, and instead we begin to view ourselves as individuals with our own purpose and priorities. No allows us to step into our own power, to live with intention rather than obligation. Saying no also cultivates honesty and authenticity in our interactions. When we agree to things that don't align with us just to avoid discomfort, we may appear agreeable on the outside, but on the inside we're harboring resistance, frustration, or even resentment. Over time, these hidden feelings can erode our relationships and create emotional distance. But when we say no honestly and openly, we communicate from a place of truth, giving others a clear picture of who we are and what we value. This authenticity fosters trust and clarity, helping us to form relationships built on mutual understanding. In the end, no is not just a rejection of external demands, it's an affirmation of our internal truth. It's a way of carving out space in our lives for what truly matters. By embracing the power of no, we allow ourselves the freedom to pursue our passions, to prioritize our well-being, and to engage in life wholeheartedly. No is a declaration that we are worthy of our own respect and that we're committed to a life that reflects our values. Through no, we create room for growth, joy, and fulfillment, transforming a simple word into a powerful tool for living with integrity and purpose. Standing by your opinions is an act of self-respect, confidence, and authenticity. In a world where external voices and pressures can easily sway us, standing firm in our beliefs allows us to remain true to ourselves, even when our views might be unpopular or misunderstood. When we stand by our opinions, we express not only what we think, but also who we are and what we value. Our opinions reflect our experiences, beliefs, and insights, making them a unique part of our identity. Honoring them means respecting our own voice enough to allow it to be heard and valued, no matter how others may respond. Remaining firm in our opinions does not mean shutting down to new ideas or clinging stubbornly to our perspectives without flexibility. Rather, it's about having the courage to trust our own thinking and to articulate our viewpoints with clarity and conviction. When we doubt our own opinions or change them too readily to align with others, we risk losing sight of our authentic self. Over time, constantly bending to fit others' views can erode our confidence, leading us to second-guess our instincts and silence our inner voice. In standing by our opinions, we affirm that our thoughts are valid, even if they differ from those around us. Standing by our opinions also fosters resilience. Each time we stand firm in our beliefs, we strengthen our ability to face challenges and criticism without wavering. This resilience is essential in a world where opinions can be criticized or questioned in an instant, whether in personal conversations or on public platforms. By holding fast to what we believe, we build a solid foundation within ourselves, making us less susceptible to doubt or external pressure. This resilience doesn't make us immune to feedback, but rather allows us to consider it without feeling compelled to conform or sacrifice our core beliefs. Our opinions serve as our guideposts, helping us navigate complex situations and make decisions that align with our values. When we trust our own judgment, we make choices that reflect our authentic self rather than decisions based on what others think we should do. This leads to a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful because it is built on our terms and according to our own vision. Each decision we make by standing firm in our beliefs adds a layer of confidence, helping us to grow into individuals who are self-assured and grounded. Standing by our opinions also helps us form genuine connections with others. When we speak honestly about our perspectives, we invite others to see us as we truly are, creating the opportunity for deeper, more authentic relationships. By expressing our beliefs, we encourage mutual respect, allowing others to share their thoughts while maintaining our own. This balance of openness and self-assurance fosters an environment of trust where differing opinions can coexist without feeling the need to conform. Ironically, standing by our opinions can often lead to greater respect from others, even from those who disagree. People are drawn to authenticity and are more likely to value us when we stand firmly in our truth. Moreover, standing by our opinions strengthens our critical thinking. As we articulate and defend our perspectives, we gain clarity about why we hold certain views, which helps us refine and deepen our understanding. This process allows us to grow intellectually as we are challenged to consider the reasoning and evidence behind our beliefs. Standing firm in our opinions does not imply rigidity, rather, it opens up opportunities for growth by encouraging us to thoughtfully engage with our own ideas and those of others. When we stand by our opinions with an open mind, we can adjust and evolve without feeling that we've betrayed our core values. However, standing by our opinions does come with challenges. We may face pushback or criticism from others who feel uncomfortable with our differing views. Yet these challenges are opportunities to practice courage and resilience. By remaining steady in the face of opposition, we learn to rely on our inner strength and self-assurance rather than the approval of others. This kind of inner reliance builds our self-esteem, helping us to feel more secure in who we are and what we believe. It liberates us from the constant need for external validation, allowing us to live in a way that honors our own truths. In the end, standing by our opinions is about living with integrity. It's a commitment to being authentic, honest, and true to ourselves, even when it feels uncomfortable. By valuing our own voice, we give ourselves permission to exist fully without compromise or apology. We allow ourselves to be seen as we are, which is one of the most empowering and freeing acts we can perform. Standing by our opinions is not only a stance on individual beliefs, but a powerful expression of self-respect, personal freedom, and inner strength. Through this commitment to our own voice, we cultivate a life that is genuinely ours, rich with purpose, and aligned with our deepest values. Releasing guilt is one of the most liberating and transformative acts of self-compassion we can practice. Guilt often arises when we feel that we have let others down or failed to meet expectations our own or those imposed by society, family, or friends. While guilt can sometimes serve as a useful emotional signal, encouraging us to reflect on our actions and align with our values, holding onto guilt beyond this point becomes counterproductive. It can consume our mental and emotional energy, clouding our sense of self-worth and trapping us in a cycle of regret and self-doubt. By releasing guilt, we free ourselves from the weight of self-judgment and make room for acceptance, growth, and inner peace. Releasing guilt begins with recognizing that making mistakes is an inherent part of being human. Nobody goes through life without missteps, and expecting ourselves to be perfect only sets us up for disappointment. Often we hold onto guilt because we believe we should have known better or that we should have somehow been able to avoid certain outcomes. This kind of thinking, however, ignores the reality that we're always learning and evolving. Mistakes and failures are opportunities for growth, not reasons for prolonged self-punishment. When we accept that errors are a natural part of the journey, we can start to view guilt not as a sentence, but as a temporary phase one that can be acknowledged, learned from, and released. Letting go of guilt also involves reframing how we view responsibility. Many of us carry guilt for things that are beyond our control, such as other people's feelings or reactions. We might feel responsible for disappointing others, even when their expectations were unrealistic or unfair. This type of guilt is often misplaced because it assumes we have the power to control others' experiences or emotions, which we simply don't. By accepting that we are only responsible for our own actions, we can release the guilt that arises from situations outside our control. Instead of burdening ourselves with guilt, we learn to set boundaries and recognize that we are not responsible for everyone else's happiness or satisfaction. Self-forgiveness is a key part of releasing guilt. Holding on to guilt often stems from a reluctance to forgive ourselves, as though punishing ourselves repeatedly will somehow make up for our mistakes. However, self-forgiveness is not about ignoring accountability, but about understanding that we deserve compassion just as much as anyone else. When we forgive ourselves, we acknowledge our humanity and offer ourselves the same grace we would extend to others. Releasing guilt through self-forgiveness allows us to move forward with greater kindness toward ourselves, empowering us to make positive changes without being weighed down by the past. Releasing guilt also requires challenging the unrealistic expectations we place on ourselves. Society often imposes rigid ideals about what it means to be good or successful, and these standards can make us feel as though we're never doing enough. We might feel guilty for not working hard enough, for taking time for ourselves, or for prioritizing our own needs. However, constantly holding ourselves to unattainable standards only reinforces the cycle of guilt and inadequacy. When we redefine success and goodness on our own terms, we break free from this cycle and release the guilt associated with not meeting others' definitions of worthiness. We begin to see that our value does not depend on perfection or constant self-sacrifice. The process of releasing guilt also involves living in the present moment. Guilt often binds us to the past, making us relive decisions or actions that we can no longer change. This fixation on what should have or could have. Indifferent keeps us from fully experiencing the present and moving forward with hope. By practicing mindfulness and focusing on the here and now, we can observe our feelings of guilt without allowing them to consume us. We learn to accept that the past is unchangeable, and that each new moment is an opportunity to act in alignment with our values. Letting go of guilt allows us to embrace the present with open arms and approach the future with a lighter heart. Another important aspect of releasing guilt is acknowledging our inherent worthiness. Guilt often creates a sense of unworthiness, as if we're somehow less than because of our past actions or decisions. This can lead us to believe that we don't deserve happiness, success, or love. However, our worthiness is not contingent on perfection. It is an intrinsic part of who we are. Releasing guilt means embracing our worthiness despite our imperfections, understanding that we are deserving of forgiveness and self-love. By recognizing our inherent value, we can release the guilt that keeps us feeling undeserving and open ourselves up to receive joy and fulfillment. Finally, releasing guilt allows us to cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. When we understand our own struggles and release self-judgment, we become more empathetic and understanding toward the mistakes and imperfections of others. We stop seeing ourselves as bad or inadequate because of our past actions, and in doing so, we also stop judging others harshly. This compassion extends outward, creating a ripple effect that enriches our relationships and enhances our ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. By letting go of guilt, we create a foundation of kindness, both within ourselves and in our interactions with the world. Releasing guilt is a journey of self-acceptance, forgiveness, and growth. It is about freeing ourselves from the shackles of self-judgment and embracing a future where we are no longer defined by our past mistakes. It is the act of affirming that we are worthy of peace, that we deserve to let go, and that we have the power to move forward with grace and compassion. In letting go of guilt, we open the door to a life filled with self-love, resilience, and the courage to live in alignment with our true selves. Knowing your worth is one of the most profound and empowering realizations you can have. It's the foundation upon which all aspects of self-esteem, confidence, and fulfillment are built. When you truly understand your worth, you stop measuring your value by external standards or the approval of others. Instead, you anchor your sense of self in the deep and unshakable knowledge that you are inherently valuable, regardless of your circumstances or achievements. This understanding transforms how you see yourself and the way you approach the world. It empowers you to make choices that honor your needs and desires, and it shifts the way you engage in relationships, work, and life itself. Many people struggle with knowing their worth because they are conditioned to seek validation from external sources. Society often tells us that our worth is determined by our appearance, our achievements, our social status, or the approval of others. We internalize these messages and begin to define ourselves by what we do, how we look, or how others perceive us. This external validation can create a fragile sense of self-worth, one that fluctuates with the opinions of others and the ups and downs of life. When we base our worth on these external factors, we are essentially giving our power away to things that are beyond our control. Many people struggle with knowing their worth because they are conditioned to seek validation from external sources. Society often tells us that our worth is determined by our appearance, our achievements, our social status, or the approval of others. We internalize these messages and begin to define ourselves by what we do, how we look, or how others perceive us. This external validation can create a fragile sense of self-worth, one that fluctuates with the opinions of others and the ups and downs of life. When we base our worth on these external factors, we are essentially giving our power away to things that are beyond our control. True worth, however, is not determined by these fleeting and superficial measures. Your worth is intrinsic. It is rooted in who you are at your core, in your unique essence as a human being. It is not something you have to earn or prove. You were born with it, and it is never diminished by what you do or fail to do. When you know your worth, you stop seeking validation from outside sources and start looking within. You realize that your value is constant, and it doesn't fluctuate based on the opinions of others, your past mistakes, or your current achievements. This understanding frees you from the need to constantly prove yourself or seek approval from others. Knowing your worth also means recognizing that you are deserving of respect, love, and kindness simply because you exist. Too often, people hold back from asking for what they truly need or want because they feel undeserving or unworthy. But when you understand your worth, you realize that you are worthy of every good thing in life, not because of what you do for others or how much you achieve, but because you are a unique, valuable individual. This realization shifts your mindset from one of scarcity and lack to one of abundance and possibility. It encourages you to step into your power, take up space, and demand the respect and treatment you deserve. The journey to knowing your worth also involves letting go of the toxic patterns and relationships that reinforce feelings of inadequacy or unworthiness. When you truly understand your worth, you stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or mistreatment. You recognize that you don't need to sacrifice your happiness or peace to please others or to fit into certain expectations. Instead, you begin to set healthy boundaries that protect your well-being and allow you to surround yourself with people who value and appreciate you for who you are. Knowing your worth enables you to walk away from relationships or situations that drain you or undermine your sense of self. When you know your worth, you also begin to understand the importance of self-compassion. You stop being overly harsh with yourself when you make mistakes or fall short of your own expectations. Instead of seeing failures as a reflection of your value, you see them as opportunities for growth and learning. You treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend who is struggling. This self-compassion allows you to navigate the ups and downs of life with grace, knowing that your worth is not tied to your successes or failures, but to the inherent value you carry as a person. In relationships, knowing your worth leads to healthier dynamics. When you recognize your own value, you stop seeking validation or approval from others, which allows you to engage in more authentic, balanced relationships. You no longer feel the need to constantly prove yourself to others or sacrifice your own needs to make others happy. Instead, you enter relationships as an equal, knowing that you are worthy of love, respect, and care. This understanding allows you to set clear boundaries and communicate your needs more effectively, ensuring that you attract relationships that nurture and support your well-being. Finally, knowing your worth transforms the way you experience the world. You stop accepting less than what you deserve, whether in your career, friendships, or romantic relationships. You become more confident in making decisions that align with your values and aspirations, and you begin to attract opportunities and experiences that reflect your high regard for yourself. When you understand your worth, you start to see the world as a place where you are deserving of abundance, success, and happiness. This belief in your own value is magnetic, drawing positive energy and opportunities into your life because you are no longer shrinking or settling for less than what you deserve. Knowing your worth is not a destination, but a continuous practice. It's about continually reaffirming your value no matter what challenges or setbacks come your way. The more you practice self-affirmation and self-love, the more deeply you internalize the truth of your worth. It empowers you to live boldly with confidence and authenticity, because you no longer need external validation to feel whole. You know that you are enough, just as you are. When you truly know your worth, everything in your life changes: your relationships, your career, and your sense of self. You begin to create a life that is aligned with your true value and start living with a deep sense of peace, fulfillment, and purpose. Accepting being misunderstood is a profound and liberating practice that allows you to live more authentically, free from the constant need for external validation or approval. At its core, it is about embracing the truth that not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. We are all unique individuals with distinct perspectives, values, and experiences, and as a result, there will inevitably be times when others misinterpret our words, actions, or intentions. This reality is often uncomfortable because we naturally want to be understood, to be seen clearly, and to be accepted for who we are. Yet when we accept being misunderstood, we free ourselves from the expectation that everyone must agree with or validate our choices and our way of being. The fear of being misunderstood often stems from the desire for approval, a desire that runs deep in most people. We want to feel accepted and appreciated, and we fear that if others misunderstand us, they may reject us or view us in a negative light. This fear can drive us to constantly explain ourselves, to mold our behavior to fit others' expectations, or to suppress aspects of our identity in order to conform. However, when we live our lives based on the fear of being misunderstood, we compromise our authenticity. We become so preoccupied with others' perceptions that we lose sight of our true selves. This is a form of self-sacrifice that diminishes our inner peace and keeps us from living in alignment with our values. When we learn to accept being misunderstood, we shift our focus inward. We begin to recognize that we cannot control how others perceive us or how they interpret our actions. People come to their own conclusions based on their experiences, biases, and beliefs, and these conclusions may not always align with who we truly are. Once we accept this fact, we stop taking it personally. We understand that someone's misunderstanding is not a reflection of our worth or value. Instead, it is simply a byproduct of human interaction, where communication and understanding are always subjective. This acceptance allows us to be more compassionate toward ourselves. Instead of being critical or frustrated with ourselves when we're misunderstood, we begin to cultivate self-compassion. We acknowledge that being misunderstood is a part of the human experience. It doesn't make us wrong or unworthy. It simply means that our perspective is not always shared by others. When we embrace this reality, we are less likely to feel discouraged or disheartened when we're not understood. Instead, we choose to move forward with confidence, knowing that our truth is valid regardless of how it's perceived. Accepting being misunderstood also means letting go of the need for constant explanation. There will be times when we try to explain ourselves to others, but no amount of words or reasoning will make them see things the way we do. Some people may never understand our actions or choices, and that is not our responsibility to change. Rather than continuously defending ourselves, we can choose to stand firm in our decisions and actions, even when others don't fully grasp them. This doesn't mean we reject communication or meaningful dialogue, rather. It means that we no longer feel obligated to make everyone understand us. We accept that some things are simply beyond explanation, and that's part of what makes us human. This acceptance also extends to the idea of rejection. Being misunderstood can sometimes feel like rejection, especially when it comes from people we care about or admire. However, when we accept that being misunderstood is inevitable at times, we can detach our self-worth from others' understanding of us. We recognize that rejection, in this sense, does not define us. It is merely someone else's perspective or reaction to who we are. Rather than taking it personally, we can view it as a sign that we are being true to ourselves, even if it makes others uncomfortable. This shift in perspective allows us to grow stronger and more resilient, knowing that we are not defined by others' acceptance or approval. Living with the acceptance of being misunderstood also invites us to embrace ambiguity and uncertainty. We may never have all the answers, and we may never fully explain ourselves in a way that others completely understand. This ambiguity is part of the beauty of life. It's what makes us complex and multifaceted as we each hold different experiences, interpretations, and beliefs. When we accept being misunderstood, we open ourselves to the freedom of not needing everything to be neatly explained or understood. We embrace the unknown and find peace in the mystery of life, accepting that we don't need to have all the answers or be completely understood in every situation. Additionally, accepting being misunderstood allows us to protect our mental and emotional well-being. The constant desire for others to understand us can be exhausting, leading us to over-explain, self-doubt, or constantly adjust our behavior to fit others' expectations. This pursuit can deplete our energy and divert us from our authentic path. When we let go of the need for universal understanding, we free ourselves from this exhausting cycle. We stop wasting energy on trying to make others see things our way, and instead we focus on living in alignment with our own values and principles. We trust that those who truly matter will see and understand us, even if it takes time. Furthermore, embracing being misunderstood creates space for personal growth. Every time we face the discomfort of being misunderstood and continue to move forward without being deterred, we build resilience. We learn to trust ourselves and our instincts more deeply. This self-trust becomes the foundation for making choices that align with our true desires, rather than seeking to appease others or gain their approval. As we continue to grow and evolve, we become less concerned with external judgment and more focused on becoming the person we are meant to be. Ultimately, accepting being misunderstood is about embracing our individuality and stepping into the fullness of who we are, even when it means standing alone at times. It is about recognizing that our value and our truth are not dependent on the approval or understanding of others. When we accept this, we gain the freedom to live authentically and fully, without the burden of trying to fit into someone else's idea of who we should be. We allow ourselves to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to be misunderstood because we understand that, in the end, it is our own understanding of ourselves that truly matters. And in that understanding, we find peace, freedom, and strength. Stopping the habit of apologizing for strength is a powerful and transformative act that allows you to embrace your true power without guilt or shame. For many people, particularly women, there is often an unwritten social expectation to temper strength in order to be more palatable to others. Strength is sometimes seen as intimidating, abrasive, or even unnatural when it's expressed freely. This perception can lead individuals to apologize for their strength, whether it's physical, emotional, or intellectual, in an attempt to soften their presence or to avoid the discomfort of others. But the truth is, there is nothing wrong with being strong. Strength is not only an asset, but it is also a reflection of resilience, self-worth, and the ability to navigate the challenges of life with confidence and determination. The tendency to apologize for strength often arises from a deep-seated belief that we must constantly cater to the comfort of others, even at the expense of our own authenticity. From an early age, many people, especially women, are socialized to be accommodating, nurturing, and deferential to others' needs and feelings. In this environment, strength can be perceived as an anomaly, something to be downplayed or hidden. People may apologize for standing firm in their beliefs, for asserting themselves in conversations, or for taking charge in situations, fearing that they will be seen as too domineering or confrontational. This behavior, however, not only undermines their own power, but also reinforces the idea that strength is something to be ashamed of or suppressed. When we apologize for our strength, we diminish the very qualities that make us capable of achieving our goals, weathering hardships, and creating meaningful change in our lives and in the world. Strength is a vital part of who we are as individuals. It's the driving force behind our ability to persevere through adversity, to advocate for ourselves and others, and to live authentically. By apologizing for our strength, we suggest that it's something to be hidden or that it's inappropriate in certain contexts. In doing so, we negate the value of our own unique abilities and contributions. Letting go of the habit of apologizing for strength also involves confronting the cultural narratives that equate strength with negative traits such as aggression or coldness. These misconceptions are often rooted in outdated gender roles, where strength in women in particular is seen as unnatural or unfeminine. Society tends to celebrate strength in men, associating it with power and leadership, but when women display similar traits, they are sometimes labeled as bossy or intimidating. These labels reinforce the idea that strength must be suppressed to avoid being labeled negatively. However, strength is not inherently negative or threatening. It is simply the capacity to endure, to act with purpose, and to rise above challenges. When we stop apologizing for our strength, we reclaim the right to express it without fear of judgment or rejection. Recognizing the importance of strength in our lives means acknowledging that it is not just about overcoming obstacles, but also about knowing when to stand up for what we believe in, when to protect our boundaries, and when to take bold actions in the face of uncertainty. Strength doesn't require us to be unyielding or rigid, but it does require us to honor our own convictions and to be unapologetically ourselves. By embracing our strength, we stop diminishing our worth in the eyes of others. We understand that being strong is not about overpowering others, but about standing in our own power with grace, integrity, and confidence. When we stop apologizing for our strength, we also learn to stop doubting ourselves. We no longer feel the need to shrink in the presence of others or to second-guess our decisions out of fear of being too much. This self-doubt is often rooted in the fear that our strength will make others uncomfortable or that it will cause us to be rejected. But when we embrace strength without apology, we liberate ourselves from these limiting beliefs. We stop holding ourselves back and start showing up fully in the world. We stop hiding behind polite gestures or self-deprecating remarks and allow ourselves to be visible in all of our glory. Moreover, embracing strength without apology allows us to model that behavior for others. When we own our strength, we give permission for others to do the same. We create a ripple effect of empowerment that encourages those around us to step into their own power. In a world that often seeks to diminish or discredit strength, we have the opportunity to redefine what it means to be strong. Not in a way that excludes vulnerability or compassion, but in a way that integrates these qualities with courage, resilience, and self-assurance. By stopping the apology for strength, we become role models for future generations, showing them that they too can be unapologetically strong. In relationships, both personal and professional, ceasing to apologize for our strength allows us to cultivate healthier dynamics. Strength does not need to be feared or apologized for in relationships, rather. It should be respected and celebrated. When we stand firm in our strength, we set clear boundaries, communicate our needs with confidence, and demand the respect we deserve. We stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or mistreatment because we know that we are worthy of better. Relationships that honor our strength tend to be more authentic and empowering based on mutual respect rather than one-sided expectations. In essence, stopping the habit of apologizing for strength is about embracing our full potential and refusing to shrink ourselves for the comfort of others. It is about recognizing that our strength is a gift, not something to hide or apologize for. It allows us to step into the fullness of who we are, unapologetically and confidently, with the understanding that we are worthy of all the success, respect, and happiness that comes with living in alignment with our true power. When we stop apologizing for our strength, we give ourselves permission to be the bold, resilient, and empowered individuals we were always meant to be. Balancing kindness with assertiveness is one of the most important and often overlooked skills in personal growth and communication. It is the ability to maintain a compassionate and empathetic approach while still standing up for yourself, your needs, and your boundaries. In a world that often prioritizes pleasing others, many individuals struggle with finding the right balance between being kind and being assertive. They may either become overly accommodating, putting others' needs before their own, or they may become too firm or direct, unintentionally sacrificing kindness in the process. True balance lies in the ability to express yourself authentically, while also being considerate of others' feelings and perspectives without losing your own voice or compromising your self-respect. At its core, kindness is about being thoughtful, generous, and compassionate toward others. It's about showing understanding and support, offering help when it's needed, and fostering positive interactions that promote mutual respect and goodwill. Kindness is a powerful tool for building relationships, diffusing tension, and creating an environment of trust and cooperation. However, without assertiveness, kindness can sometimes be misinterpreted as weakness or a lack of self-respect. When you are constantly worried about being overly nice or accommodating, you may end up suppressing your own desires, needs, and feelings, allowing others to take advantage of your good nature. This imbalance can lead to resentment, burnout, and a diminished sense of self-worth. On the other hand, assertiveness is the ability to express your thoughts, feelings, and needs openly and honestly without fear of conflict or judgment. It involves standing up for yourself in a respectful manner, setting clear boundaries, and asking for what you need while respecting the rights and needs of others. Assertiveness is a powerful form of self-respect. It allows you to honor your worth and to ensure that your voice is heard. However, when assertiveness is used without kindness, it can come across as aggressive or dismissive. A person who is overly assertive without considering the feelings of others may inadvertently create conflict or alienate people, which can damage relationships and hinder effective communication. The key to balancing kindness with assertiveness is learning to navigate the fine line between self-respect and empathy. It requires an understanding that being kind doesn't mean always saying yes or putting others first at the expense of your own needs. At the same time, being assertive doesn't mean being domineering or disregarding the feelings of others. True balance is about honoring your own worth and needs while also treating others with respect and consideration. This balance fosters healthy, mutually supportive relationships where both parties feel valued and heard. To strike this balance, it's essential to understand that kindness does not mean always agreeing with others or allowing people to walk all over you. Kindness is about showing empathy, not necessarily agreeing with everything someone says or does. You can still be kind while asserting your boundaries, saying no when necessary, and expressing your true feelings without guilt. Being kind doesn't mean sacrificing your own needs or compromising your values just to keep the peace or avoid confrontation. When you balance kindness with assertiveness, you make space for honest communication, where everyone's needs and feelings are considered and no one is left feeling ignored or diminished. When you balance kindness with assertiveness, you also create an environment of trust and respect. People around you learn that you are someone who can be counted on to be both compassionate and honest. They understand that when you speak up or assert yourself, it's not out of malice or a desire to control the situation, but out of a genuine need to communicate your feelings and needs clearly. This builds stronger, more respectful relationships where people feel comfortable expressing themselves as well, knowing that their voices will be heard. It also reduces misunderstandings and conflict because there is an open and respectful exchange of thoughts and ideas. Being kind while being assertive also means being clear and direct in your communication. Often people struggle with being assertive because they fear that they will come across as rude or harsh. However, kindness can coexist with clarity and directness. You can be firm in your requests, needs, or boundaries without being hurtful or dismissive. It's about using respectful language, maintaining a calm tone, and delivering your message in a way that shows you care about the other person's feelings while still standing firm in your position. This requires emotional intelligence, as you need to gauge the right moment and manner in which to assert yourself without overstepping or being insensitive. Another important aspect of balancing kindness with assertiveness is being willing to listen. Assertiveness is not just about expressing your own thoughts and feelings, it's also about being open to hearing others' perspectives. By listening actively and with empathy, you not only show kindness but also create a space for constructive dialogue. You invite collaboration and mutual understanding, which can lead to win-win solutions where both parties feel valued and understood. Listening doesn't mean you have to agree with everything the other person says, but it demonstrates that you respect their perspective, which enhances your own assertiveness and shows that you are willing to engage in meaningful communication. Additionally, learning to accept that not everyone will respond to your kindness or assertiveness in the way you expect is crucial for maintaining balance. Some people may be offended or uncomfortable when you assert yourself, especially if they are used to you being overly accommodating. It's important to recognize that their reactions are not a reflection of your worth or the appropriateness of your actions. Some people may take time to adjust to the new dynamic, but that doesn't mean you should sacrifice your needs for the sake of their comfort. In the end, balancing kindness with assertiveness is about being true to yourself while also showing consideration for others, understanding that both self-respect and empathy are essential for building meaningful, healthy connections. When you balance kindness with assertiveness, you become more effective in your interactions, more confident in your ability to navigate complex situations, and more authentic in your relationships. You begin to realize that you don't have to choose between being kind and standing up for yourself. You can do both. This shift in mindset allows you to move through life with greater ease, knowing that you can be both compassionate and strong, considerate and firm, caring and assertive without sacrificing any part of yourself.